Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Escape Patch to Wellness and our Wellness Podcast. And my special guest today is Betty Ann Murphy of Studio 37, which is actually here located in Naples, Florida. And Betty Ann is not only a master stylist, she's a color expert and the inventor of a facial symmetry analysis. I am a firm believer that if you look in the mirror and you look good, you're going to feel good on the inside.
I believe that. I have so many people, especially after this pandemic, that, are saying that once they finally get their hair done, they feel like a human being again.
I can understand, because you also did my hair about a week ago. So you feel so fresh and so new and just really invigorated. I was really amazed by, because it had been such a long time since I'd had a haircut, and not just a cut, but a style. And that was the one thing that really drew me to you. Was number one was the ad that you placed in Natural Awakenings magazine. Mm-hmm. But it was the facial symmetry analysis that really was the attention getter. So I'm going to go back and let's give everybody an idea of who you are and how you got to where you are now.
I'm Betty Ann Murphy. I live here in Naples, Florida. I've been here since 2007. I had a salon in the Boston area for like many years, 26 years. I had Salon of the Year in the whole United States. I did also work out in Las Vegas at one time and at Caesar's Palace. Mm-hmm. So, but I've been here now I've had my salon since 2009. And I love it here. It's just very great energy, I think, here in Naples. So it was just by accident that I became a hairdresser. I actually was in acting school in New York City, and I sing and play the piano and act. And I actually was just going to go to hairdressing school to support myself in New York in acting, and it never happened.
Well, being an actor and being a singer and a pianist, you're a very creative person by nature. So that creativity also has to show up in your hair. Is that true?
Oh, yes, exactly. I think, it all goes together. So, it's interesting too. I don't know if you ever heard of Eckhart Tolle. And being in the now. And one of the only professions that he says where you can be in the now is actually for hairdressers. And it's really interesting because when I get going of analyzing somebody and maybe starting to work on them, I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to cook for supper, if you know what I'm saying. I'm right there.
Nice. When it comes time for being a stylist, for example, and, going from being a stylist to the facial symmetry, what part of, hairdressing school really kind of hooked you to look more than just at someone's hair, but really at who they are as a person, how they carry themselves, even hair color? You do all of that too.
Well, what happened was I had 4 years of college. I taught school briefly. My parents wanted me to. I didn't want to. And so I was really surprised when I went to hairdressing school that they really don't spend a lot of time discussing like how you should style a person's hair. And I found it very, very frustrating because whenever I would get a new client into my chair, they'd say to me, I'd say, how would you like your hair done today? And they'd say, I don't know, you tell me, you're the expert. And then I'd say, really? I am? Like, how did I get to be the expert? So it was just a matter of putting together some ideas that I came across in life. And the first thing was I was doing Diana Ross's, actually her nails backstage at Caesar's Palace, and they were filming her an HBO special, and she was so upset that they were filming her from her bad side. And so I just thought, she doesn't have a bad side. And so that's when I saw a TV program where they took the two right sides of a person's face and the two left sides, and they put them together. One picture came out like a smile and one came out like a sad face. And so I started thinking, I would think that you would like part the person's hair on their good side so that when somebody looked at them visually, that they would be drawn to the good side of their face.
So by the part, you mean like from here I have my...
Yeah, the part or how you direct it, exactly.
And so this side's more open and this side's more closed. Based upon you just...
Right.
My part to the opposite side, right?
Right.
I have a question I want to go back to, that something you said. We're talking about being a stylist. Now, what does that mean to be a stylist? Because I mean, I can say I know somebody who, you know, styles clothes or they style someone's house, but can you define what a stylist is?
They just call us that. But so basically what happens is, like back with my business in Westwood, Massachusetts, I had been doing thing here for so long. And so what it comes down to is a basic stylist is maybe somebody right out of hairdressing school. Then we have maybe a master stylist. And that's kind of what I go by as being a master stylist, meaning somebody who's been doing this for a number of years and has expertise at it, and not a beginner.
So the difference between giving someone a haircut and a hairstyle, what is that?
Well, basically, I mean, the haircut is just cutting the hair. The style is doing the blow drying or whatever you're doing. You know, if you were doing finger waving, if you were doing pin curls, that's what the styling part of it is. And so it's interesting because sometimes people can be a very good stylist. Like they can know how to place the hair, like drying it and stuff, but sometimes they don't know how to cut it to get it that way. Right. So it's interesting. So yeah, it's, I guess everybody sort of picks up their own ways. I was taught in hairdressing school, we're taught to cut the hair horizontally, holding it out from the head horizontally and starting from the bottom back. I could never visualize in my head a haircut that was done that way. I couldn't do it. So I got the idea one day to actually cut vertically and start at the top in the front. One day it was like, all I can say is light beams on Marblehead. It's like, all of a sudden I don't know, it was the Holy Spirit, something came to me and I was like, oh. And so I had different people who worked for me over the years and I taught them my technique. And see, the funny thing is, because it's like so clear in my head, I'm very, very fast. And like anybody who does this technique is fast. And it just sort of baffles clients because they'll say to me, no one's ever cut my hair this fast. It's funny. And I say, well, because I know where I'm going. I know what I'm going to do next. I'm not like, you know, like thinking. It's just there. Right. It's interesting.
So what do you do if someone comes in and they want a certain style, but it really does not suit their face or even the kind of hair that they have? What do you do?
Right. Well, that's when we start to have a little consultation. And all I can do is advise people and recommend. And, you know, sometimes most people, you know, what I have found is that most people at a certain age have sort of figured out what looks good on them and what doesn't. They sometimes don't know why, but I can then give them those answers that, yes, you know that you like hair, like a bob haircut, say somebody, they like that. And I will maybe quickly do my figuring, which everything I do is based on balance and symmetry. I basically measure their face into thirds, and then I look at the width of the face. And so with the thirds, I do hairline to brow, brow to the bottom of the nose, bottom of the nose to the chin. And so I then try to, if we have like a small, medium, large, I try to make the smaller area appear larger and the larger area appear smaller.
So like with me, when I came in and sat in the chair, I have a small forehead. Like this measurement is shorter than from brow to cheekbone and cheekbone to jaw.
Right.
You know, you had me pull up pictures of what I've had as styles in the past and say, you know, what do you like about that haircut? And yet that haircut, which I loved, when you went, and once you measured, you know, did that with me, the facial symmetry, then I could go back and say, oh, I mean, it was a great haircut, don't get me wrong.
No, I know. That was a beautiful picture of you. It really was. But it could have been, it could have been better.
It could have been better. Because all my focus went right to my nose, which I don't think is my strongest asset, but it's my dad's nose. I can't, you know, get rid of it. But,
right.
You know, what was your explanation about the best asset that every person has.
Well, right. It's like what I say, different times, when you're reading a magazine article, somebody wrote it and says, accentuate your positive features and downplay your negative. So that everybody looks in the mirror and says, what's good about me? Is there anything good about me? And so I just started thinking about it, and it's like, that's sort of a whole stupid, like some person says something and then everybody listens to it. But I think that everybody's eyes are their best feature, because the eyes are the mirror of the soul. Our personality comes out in our eyes. If you take away the eyes, what's left? Nose, mouth, chin, ears. Would you really design a hairstyle around one of those? So that's why everything that I do is to bring attention to the eyes. So then if the eyes are the picture, the eyebrows are the frame. So that's why we worked a little bit on your brows. I actually, when I originally started doing this, used to do an eyeglass evaluation too. So that was helpful. So your glasses look pretty good on you, so you're doing well with those.
They're from Tiffany's, they better.
They what?
They're from Tiffany's, they better.
Oh, are they? They're beautiful.
When I had to get my glasses first thing on the computer, that I went to someone who was actually an eyeglass stylist, is what she also touts herself to be, as well as being an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist. But we went through all kinds of glasses. Those are too big for your face. Those are too small for your face.
Where was she located?
In Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, she's really good though.
Oh, so she was an eye doctor, but she also was a stylist.
Yeah, she's an eye doctor who does actual because she said people go out there, and she wants people to look good when they leave her office for obvious reasons, so that people will refer them to, oh, you look great. I love your glasses. So who'd you go to? Oh, so-and-so. And then it becomes a referral process for her. So that's why she really pays a lot of attention to, the kind of glasses that her clients or patients walk out of the store with.
Yeah, that's, I didn't know anyone did that. That's interesting. Because sometimes they go back to face shape. If you go into one of these online and, which I said to you, somebody said that once, and I don't believe, everyone always says to me, well, what face shape do you think I have? And I just don't think people fit into that. I think like half of your face can be one shape and the other half another shape.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And you know what you showed me in our consultation was, even just by pulling my hair back away from my face, that even my one ear is higher than the other. And I always had more hair on one side than the other. I never, ever thought that I had one ear that was higher than the other.
I know. Same with me. Like I had different people come to me. This was the first several years of working, and they'd say, I can never get this side to be the same as this side. Like, did you cut it differently? And like blaming me. And that's when I finally one day figured it out. Because I guess in some hairdressing schools they teach that now, but we're just not symmetrical.
No.
Yeah. Because I do eyelash extensions as well. And so I've been doing those since 2006. And so it's interesting. Sometimes when I finish somebody, they'll say to me, this eye doesn't look the same as this eye. Yeah. And I'm like, well, because they're not the same. Yeah. And so people too, they sometimes have a wider eye on one side, or, and not quite as wide. You don't have the same amount of lashes on each eye. So we're just not symmetrical.
No, we're not. Sadly enough, I wish we were even, but then life would be just boring. Although, if you look at the combination of male, female on the body, maybe that's the one half of the body that looks a certain way is the masculine, and the other side is the feminine. So maybe that's why.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
I hadn't either until now, and that might be why.
That's kind of, it's interesting, huh?
So with the facial symmetry analysis, did you invent that as a service for your clients?
Yeah, it is a service. It's a half an hour service. I charge $50 for that. And I actually, did develop a software product back in 2006, but I just didn't have the money to redo it. And when I had the computer program, people just had the idea that I put different hairstyles on them. It's not what I do.
Right.
And so the person has to be able to, when I say, well, I think you need some hair down here, I think you need some hair away from here, to visualize it themselves. Right. Because everybody's hair is different textures and different thicknesses. So it's kind of hard to take a picture out of a magazine and say, this is how it's going to look.
And also the same thing with hair color. You can't take a picture out of a magazine and say, I want that hair color, because your skin tone may not be the same as the person who has that hair color, correct?
Right. The thing is, you know, that back in, I think it was 1980, my mother really got into the Color Me Beautiful whole thing. And the winter, summer, spring, and autumn. So I basically have followed that. And if you remember, we looked at your hand under a white piece of paper, and people either have a pinky blue base or a goldeny base skin tone.
You can see my goldeny base right here.
I know, and me, I'm pink. You can see the pink. Do you see that? You can't see it. I mean, I'm really pink. Yeah. So we need to have our hair color, our makeup, and our clothing all in the same palette, so that when someone looks at us, we're one, you know, even picture. And that's what makes people, you know, even like say maybe your husband who doesn't know, you know, a thing about it, they can see my husband, he would see somebody at an airport or something and he'd say, oh, you know, like, or at church, like they know it's the wrong color for the person. My husband is kind of funny, silly. He'd say, that person doesn't have any friends. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, well, because if they had any friends, they tell them that that hair color looks terrible.
When you told me that, that was hilarious, but how true. And really, and as a stylist and to somebody from your experience, how do you keep yourself from going into public and not walking up and saying, here's my card, call me?
I know. You know, I really, people think I do that, but I don't. I don't analyze people out. But I sometimes, when I'm watching like news anchors on TV, I look at them and I critique them because, you know, it's like sometimes these people, I'll never forget, this was years ago when the Obamas were in the White House. Michelle Obama, I think she turned 50 and she decided to change her hairdo and she decided to get bangs. Well, you didn't see it for that long because what she did was when she got the bangs, she got these long, long bangs that were down like this. And this is all you could see of her face.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember when she did that? I mean, I think it only...
I didn't like it at all.
On her? No.
No.
It was not good. So another person I can point out that I always used to look at Dick Cheney's face. Or, you know, if you ever noticed Dick Cheney, he has a face sort of like this. Like he's clearly, one side of his face is higher than the other. So that was, there's a reporter on, oh, poor guy, on actually Fox right now. And one side of his face, you know, the other thing is we can be one length from here to here and one length from here to here. And this poor kid, I forget what his name is, but his one side of his face is so much bigger. That's the kind of thing I notice.
And the poor guy's on TV. I'm surprised no one's told him anything about how he looks.
I know. I just would never do that. But and then there's another one that I was telling, actually, my husband, I was telling him, he says, yeah, she doesn't have her hair parted in the right way. He goes, why don't you send her an email and tell her? It's like, I don't.
Well, you know, speaking of parting the wrong way is when I came in and you did my symmetry, because at the time my hair, and I have always parted my hair on the left. And it has always been there. I mean, I could go back maybe in history and go back to some old pictures and perhaps find something different, but I think it's always been the left. And as you pointed out, that's because that's how my hair grows.
Grew that way, right?
Yeah. And I would guess that most stylists, you're trained to cut the hair in the direction that the hair grows in. Is that true?
I believe so, because that's how certain people, even clients, will say to me, well, my hair goes this way, you know, so they think that that's how it's supposed to be. Because everybody's hair grows in a circle from a centermost point of growth, which is called a whorl. When you look at a little baby's head or a little boy with like maybe a wiffle haircut, you can see that circle. Occasionally people have two of those, which that would be called a double crown. And I used to say to people when I was analyzing them, oh my gosh, you know that you got this. People with double crowns are smarter than anybody else.
I like that. They really get positive psychology on them.
Right. So yeah, it's fun.
I hope that you do, because it really makes people happy. It really, I mean, I can speak from my own experience, and I left your salon. I mean, granted, you know, I was there for 2 hours. I couldn't get over. I was in your salon for 2 hours. Had no idea time had gone by that fast. And I would guess that normally when someone comes in, it's not a 2 hour process. We were talking back and forth. And well, speaking of which, with where you're located, can you tell the audience where you're located specifically in Naples?
Sure. I'm at 501 Goodlette Frank Road, Suite B as in boy, B104, and that's Studio 37. We're on the corner of Fifth Avenue North, not to be confused with Fifth Avenue South.
Right.
So, but yeah, you know, I'll tell you, because I did put an ad in the Natural Awakenings magazine these past several months. I had a woman drive down from, I couldn't believe it. She just retired down here from, she worked in New York City and into Sanibel Island.
Oh,
and so
from New York to Sanibel, what a culture shock that would be.
I know. And so she actually drove down here to Naples to have me do her. And she was, I mean, with the COVID and everything, she kissed and hugged me. She was so happy. She was so happy because she hadn't had her hair cut, you know, all during the whole thing. And then she, I think, got a bad haircut somewhere. And so we did the whole analysis on her. And she was, I get kind of the chills, really, when I can make somebody that happy.
Yeah.
You know, she says, this is exactly what I needed. I'm so glad you did this. You know, it was really, it just makes me feel good.
Well, I was on, so I have a Zoom group every Friday night with my functional medicine coaching training. And one of the women is a stylist. She's a stylist as in clothing stylist, but she's also, she says, a master hairdresser. She calls herself a hairdresser. And she works and lives in New York City, and she does mostly makeup and hair for actors, for movie sets, TV shows. And I didn't say anything. And today I let my hair just be natural.
It looks nice.
I played the top a little bit, but we were at the beach yesterday, and I like the salt water in my hair, you know, so there's a little extra wave to it. But it was still blown out beautifully from the cut that you had given me. And that night she posted, she said, oh my gosh, you got a whole new style. I said, yes, I did. And she said, this looks beautiful. So here's somebody in New York who's in the same industry as you, giving you kudos for a great style.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, that was very nice.
Because I really, I mean, you can tell the difference anyway because of the parting, but, so I wanted to go back to that real quick, is that you had me part my hair on the other side. And again, going back to, I have a shorter forehead, and I knew I needed height up here. And I had been thinking about the idea of combing it in the opposite direction because it would be automatically a lift without having to tease and use a ton of products.
Right, it's going against the grain, right.
Oh yeah, so she was pleased. I was, oh, you know, thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. And she also had noticed when I colored my hair in the first place. She was, because I'd gone from my really blonde hair to kind of auburnish color. And she loved that too. She was really happy with my color choice. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, your color with your skin tone, I don't know whether they can pick it up on the computer, but yeah, it really is. It's perfect for your skin tone. I kind of can't picture you. I mean, I saw the pictures of you with the blonde hair, but when you walked into the door and I saw you, I just thought that was your natural color. I was so surprised.
Yeah, I know. And my mom is, my mom was a solid brunette. My dad, brunette. Everybody in the family has brown hair or almost blackish colored hair. And my grandmother used to, she would take her hair and she used to wear it, you know, on top of her head in these curls. And
what did she do? Oh, she wore updos?
Yeah, she always wore updos. Always had an updo. Always. And but she always bleached her hair like white bleach, like the way that your hair is, that with that color. She always did that, which would look terrible on me. Oh my gosh, your color hair on me would look terrible.
Yeah, right. Same with me. I would look terrible with your color, you know. So that's why, yeah, I'm going to be doing someone's hair color tomorrow morning, and I'm thinking what she wants. She sent me some pictures on the phone in a text, and I'm not sure that they're the right color for her. So she's a younger girl in her 30s. So I'm going to have to tread lightly with that. Exactly. It's true. Yeah. I'm not sure it's going to be right for her, which she showed me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, it's one of those things where sometimes you have to give somebody what they want, and
Right, right. Oh yeah, believe me, if somebody insists on things, I do it.
well, the customer's always right. That's for sure. Going back to the eyelash extension, could you talk? I mean, I've never had the eyelash extensions done, but how long does it take to get your lashes put on? Yeah.
It takes a couple of hours. I sit down and do a little orientation with you. I was trained with Xtreme Lash. That's a brand name. Actually, the woman who started the company is a nurse. And so, at any rate, they really have the best reputation in the whole business. They've been around about the longest. I believe they got started in 2005. And I actually took the class in the Boston area in 2006.
Okay.
So I've been doing it, when you first start doing it, I mean, I can remember it took me 3.5 hours to put a set on someone. But I've been doing this for so long now that I'm very, very fast with that. So yeah, it's, we do, I have my advanced certification in that. I have my advanced certification in volumeation. So we do either just single lashes, or what we do is the shortest, medium, longest at the arch, and then medium on the end. And then we have volumeation, where we have much finer, thinner lashes that we pick up 3, 4, and 5 together and they're very fine, thin, and put those on one lash.
Wow. Wow.
So it's really, it's time consuming and tedious. So usually most of my clients, what I do right now, I do what's called a hybrid set, which would be half single lashes, like it may be in super volume, and then half of the volumeation.
Great. So it's just a little variety then. So.
Yes. Sometimes if you do all of they're called fans because they fan out the volumeation. It almost, they really look fake sometimes, it looks like brushes,
Yeah.
like brushes on the person's eyes. So most of my clients, they feel that my lashes look more natural than most people's.
That's awesome. I've never done lashes. I've worn fake eyelashes, and I know when I was when I was a cruise director, I used to use them on.
Oh,
yeah. So
right. I forgot about that.
I used to, because you use a lot of heavier makeup as you're on stage. So I would just but I always put lashes, always just on the corners of my eyes out here, just to pull the eye open. And that, because I have, long enough lashes as it was, and just a little eyelash curler and some mascara, and that little enhancement was always perfect, the little eyeliner. It worked for me personally, but I've never tried the, I would call it like a lash you do, is really, full-on enhancement versus what I was just doing, which is like a little temporary thing.
Right. Well, most people, I mean, I have some people I've been doing for, I worked at the Ritz-Carlton here in town before I opened up my salon. That was back in 2008. And I have a couple of clients that I still do that originally came to me there. Mm-hmm. And people just say it makes their life easier. They feel like they don't really need a lot of makeup when they have them. They just maybe need a little lipstick, a little blush, and they're good to go. It's just easier to get ready in the morning.
Yeah, my grandmother was always big with a little bit of makeup, the mascara, you do your brows, lipstick, always lipstick, and her diamonds. And then she, Diamond Lil was her nickname. So she was always big with having diamonds dripping off of her. So that was a big thing.
Oh, that's cute.
When you were mentioning earlier about the eyes being the mirror of the soul, so my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and her last days were in hospice. And as she would ebb and flow from consciousness, she would see us. And the one thing she always looked for was our eyes. And she would look, and you could just see her just kind of truly connecting through the eyes. It wasn't, the face, it was straight on to the eyes. And she would say, "I see your light. I see your light." And it reminded me of that moment. It was so special.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we start to wrap up here, how do you, like Studio 37, where did the name of your business come from?
For some reason, 3 and 7 are my lucky numbers.
Okay.
And so I had 2 salons up north. The first one was Headlines 109. And it was interesting. We were waiting for, my father and I were watching the news, waiting for Princess Diana. It was right before her wedding to Prince Charles. And the place she had her hair done was at a place called Headlines. And the business that I was opening on was on Route 109.
Okay.
So that was Headlines 109. And then the next one, I moved a couple of doors down, and this is my second husband. I sort of named it after him. His name was Vito Wassalunas. And so I took his initials at VSW and just made up this name, Viswa, for him. So I would kiddingly call him Viswa. So my last salon, it was Vissoi. It didn't mean anything in French. And so this one, I just decided, I don't know, studio, because my place is kind of small, it was small. And I was just originally in one room by myself. And I just thought, oh, my lucky numbers. I think I'll call it that.
Nice. Well, it's a good inspiration and a really great location. And I like the vibe in your salon is really nice. And that one-on-one personalized service that you give really makes you feel special while you're in your chair and then after you leave it. Really, it's like, I don't know, fairy dust you leave with, just feeling really good about you. Just want to go out in public so you can look at your hair and tell you how beautiful you are.
Yeah, right. No, I'm glad you like it.
You know, for anybody who's here in Naples or Southwest Florida, it is worth making the drive down to Goodlette Frank to come to your studio. And if there's someone who's watching who's not here in Naples, but is going to go to their stylist or their hairdresser to say, I would like to do something along what Betty Ann was talking about. Can you give a couple of tips that someone who is not here could actually ask their stylist back home in order to get somewhere towards where you work?
I would be happy to do a FaceTime with somebody and do a consult that way.
Okay, great. So if you had a long distance consult, you could give them a list of what to ask their stylist back home to do for them. And then
Exactly, right.
Kind of come close to giving them the look that they're looking for, at least based upon the advice that you're giving them.
Right, and I could probably like talk to their stylist.
You know, if you're the client, this is what you want. You have to give the client what they want.
I work alone, and I don't have a receptionist. That a lot of people text me.
Okay, so you're texting.
Yeah, it's that way I can get back to them when I have time available.
All right, good. My husband's text friendly too, so he with his clients, he likes that they text him. Because to call, pulls him out of what he's doing, and it distracts him, so he prefers the texting. So I'll